Today is October the 13th. Who are the least of these? Well, Jesus uses that very phrase. In the next section, it's kind of a parable, but it's also kind of a prediction of what the final judgment will be like. We're going to read half of it today and half tomorrow. Matthew 25 from 31 to 40. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he'll separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He'll put the sheep at his right hand, the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? When was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? When was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it to me." Now, in setting up this story, Jesus says the Son of Man will come with his angels. That actually comes from Zechariah 14:5, that says that God will come at the day of the final judgment with his angels. He'll separate the sheep from the goats. This refers back to Ezekiel 34. In Ezekiel 34, God says to the religious leaders of the day, "You are not caring for the sheep of Israel, so I remove you as shepherd. I will be the shepherd." And the first thing he does, he separates sheep from goats and cares for the weak sheep in the flock. Then he says, "If you've done it to one of the least of these, you've done it to me." When Jesus' listeners heard that, I wonder if they thought of David and what he did to Mephibosheth, what he did with Mephibosheth, the invalid son of Jonathan. In 2 Samuel chapter 4, in verse 4, it tells us Saul's son Jonathan had a son who was crippled in his feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel. His nurse picked him up and fled. In her haste to flee, it happened that he fell and became lame. His name was Mephibosheth. Later on, David finds Mephibosheth, an invalid, the grandson of a deposed and defeated king, and he shows kindness to him. Let's read that story in 2 Samuel chapter 9.
2 Samuel 9, New Revised Standard Version. David asked, "Is there still anyone left of the house of Saul to whom I may show kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba, and he was summoned to David. The king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "At your service." "Is there anyone remaining of the house of Saul to whom I may show the kindness of God?" Ziba said to the king, "There remains a son of Jonathan. He is crippled in his feet." The king said to him, "Where is he?" Ziba said to the king, "He is in the house of Machir, son of Ammiel, at Lo-debar." Then King David sent and brought him from the house of Machir, son of Ammiel, at Lo-debar. Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David and fell on his face and did obeisance. David said, "Mephibosheth." He answered, "I am your servant." David said to him, "Do not be afraid, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan. I will restore you and all the land of your grandfather Saul, and you yourself shall eat at my table always. He did obeisance and said, What is your servant that you should look upon a dead dog such as I? Then the king summoned Saul's servant Ziba and said to him, All that belonged to Saul and to all his house I have given to your master's grandson. You and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him, and shall bring in the produce, so that your master's grandson may have food to eat. But your master's grandson Mephibosheth shall always eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, According to all that my lord the king commands his servant, so your servant will do. Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah, and all who lived in Ziba's house became Mephibosheth's servants. Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he always ate at the king's table. Now he was lame in both feet.
So, Mephibosheth, the name itself is very unusual. It means the mouth of shame. Who would call their son the mouth of shame? Well, if we look at Chronicles, we see that this Jonathan's son is actually, his name is not Mephibosheth. It's Merib Baal. That means he contends with Baal. Baal is the name of a foreign god. Saul took the name of foreign gods for his own sons, Ishbaal, the man of Baal, and Jonathan apparently took the name Baal with his son, Merib Baal. But when the writer of Samuel comes to that, he doesn't like that. So he changes Merib Baal to Mephibosheth, the mouth of shame, because he doesn't want to be writing Baal in the genealogy of Saul. Well, David shows mercy to Mephibosheth. There's no need for him to. But he's made a covenant with Jonathan, whom he loved. And he's looking for someone that he can show mercy to. He shows mercy to Mephibosheth. He's one of the least. An invalid, the grandson of a defeated king, a deposed king. Who are the least of these? It's those who are in need. As you look at the description, hungry, thirsty, naked, sick, in prison, these are people who have needs. So what do we do about this today? Who in your sphere of influence is in need today? Reach out to them. See what you can do to help. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. If you like what you heard today, follow us.